Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Michael Rosinski, and I'm the president and CEO of Astoria Software. Welcome to ConVEx Test Kitchen. Today, we're going to be talking about how to turn CCMS topics into video experiences. And as an executive in the content management vertical for decades, I have been on a continuous search to improve the customer experience. We actually offer a platform that has the look and feel of an enterprise application. And still does, but I wanted to modernize the solution to have a consumer-oriented sales social media feel to it, to gain engagement and experience with the customer. Next slide. So there's many challenges of widespread adoption of XML data CCMS. XML is a complex technology, although it does provide reuse benefits, technology benefits, translation benefits, and collaboration benefits, but it's very difficult for customers to implement and understand. And in today's world, marketing controls about 60 to 70% of all marketing and CCMS projects. So they want information that's very easy to consume and understand. And they are always basically informed in Word versus XML. So creating technical documentation in standard conversation is always a better approach to facilitate learning modalities. And we all know that unless you're part of a huge technological translation conglomerate like we are at TransPerfect, technical and translation documentation becomes burdensome. Next slide. So I want to introduce to you a new technology called TXTOmedia that makes videos a reality. And the key point in all of this is that it utilizes the core value of XML and DITA, and turns video topics and components into videos, actually. The other advantage is that it connects to a CCMS as a repository for storing, generating, and changing content. And as we all know, the world is moving to action videos and animation, and especially in the product installation and repair area, this has always been a really big advantage. So videos, as you know, are the most popular way and channel to find answers to sales problems, and instructional videos can make available any different language in the outcome. So from the perspective of business values, there's many business values. And one of the business values is that it is very cost efficient. The cost per video is very, very reasonable. It can create and maintain very large video catalogs. And it extends the content lifecycle. You know, the supply chain content lifecycles include content production, content repository, content quality, and content distribution, but also now includes content video. There's also a very efficient ROI in that it's probably can be computed in less than 2 months in terms of the ROI. And then I think also in terms of the speed, this normally would take several months in days past, and now it's very, very efficient, can be done in weeks. So with that little introduction, I'd like to turn it over to Wouter Maagdenberg, who is the CEO of TXTOmedia, who will talk how to convert structured content into videos. Wouter?
Yeah, thank you very much, Michael, for the kind introduction. And indeed, the relation between content management and component content management and localization of content and indeed how enterprise organizations these days like to deal with video creation, and not only the video creation, but of course also the maintenance. And the more video you create, the more you have to maintain and keep up to date. And that's actually what we got into in combination, of course, with, for instance, the Astoria software technology. So like you said, the business values are indeed to extend that content lifecycle and to actually single source the content and enable companies not only to publish and to a PDF or to create print materials, but actually to leverage that existing content to bring it to videos. As the business values, it's about creating those, well, let's say instructional videos, and also bring them to the audiences in their native languages. Because if you look at video creation within large firms, often there is one source language created, And then it's up to the local markets if it will get translated, yes or no. And then still it's limited, and let alone maintaining that kind of content if it's localized. And especially from a compliance perspective, it's of course important to keep everything up to date and compliant with the original content. And of course, there are some industries where that is even more important to than others. Another thing that we have noticed is that it's also adding up to and helping actually to reduce waste. And with waste, I not only mean if you don't print it on paper and put it in a box, but now put the content online in a video, it saves material and transport. But also by automating the creation of video, it saves a lot of people's time. Far less Excel sheets that go around the company, which of course also saves waste in waste of time, so to speak. So it's all about efficiency, compliancy, as I already said, and what you also mentioned, the return on investment in video creation actually rises, and the speed and the time to market of video assets actually becomes far quicker, because it's had to generate a video automatically takes minutes now, and of course you still need to maybe adjust it or approve it, so maybe it takes now a week to get it live instead of months. That's absolutely certain. So stating this, let me talk you a little bit through how that process looks like. And if we turn those topics from a CCMS into a video, we mainly talk a certain type of videos. It all has to do with what we call support videos, the typical topics in a manual: how to do this, how to do that, how to change something, how to install something, how to repair something, that kind of videos. Often they are from a video type, what we call animated videos, picture-based videos, which are fine, easy to create, cheap to create, and also easy to maintain. We also talk about training materials, also often animated videos, but can also be live action, or as you see in this little sample here, more cartoon-like, which can be automated fully. And last but not least, of course, also in the marketing space. And what we see at our customers is that this type of video is really the, let's say, support kind of video around the moment of buying. So just prior to acquisition, and just, let's say, the first time use unboxing experience. And that's really where technical documentation and marketing starts to meet more and more. So the basis of this content is definitely the technical documentation, the topics of out of these manuals, but now with a big marketing flavor on it to, of course, also sell it. But still, this content needs to be compliant, and of course needs to be available in all these different languages. So that's, if I talk to different families of video that we normally see, and these are, I think, the main types. And if I now explain a little bit, okay, how does this process looks like? How do we start? And here you actually see Astoria software. And what we could do is actually, and the R&D team at Astoria could actually add extra functionality to the interface, even, that besides the ability to save the topic and to publish it as a PDF or bring it to print, you can actually send it and package it automatically and send it over to us, to our servers. And then actually that topic or a group of topics get packaged together with the associated media assets, for instance, the pictures, send over to the TXTOmedia servers, and then actually the video creation will start automatically, and you will get the result back. So it's even brought all the way to the user interface nowadays. And that looks a little bit like this. So here's that topic in the CCMS, and if you open it up, you will see it here in the editor. And I think this is quite familiar to most of the people watching right now. And this is what you normally work in. You write a topic, and that becomes part of as a component of, for instance, a book, and even the steps. This is a procedure, can of course be reused. And all these pieces will at the end deliver you that video. So here you see text, you see a structure, And you see also here an image, and that's what I will explain what happens as soon as it arrives at the TXTOmedia servers. So that topic, that is on the one hand that structure, it's like the script, so to speak. So that data topic defines the structure of the video, but also provides, of course, the content. We all saw the text and the picture. And what we first do is we bring that text to speech. That's something we do with a synthesizer, the text-to-voice synthesizers. It's not said that the voice, the artificial voice will be used at the end. Most of the time it will, but it's not needed. You can also do this with human voices, but we use it for the initial timing. Because what we do, we bring what you normally do, you read that PDF or that piece of paper from top to bottom. And what we do, we bring it and we create a timeline out of it. And that's based on the length of the speech of each component, each sentence, so to speak, that together makes a video title. But first we need to have that timeline, which is audio based. And then you start to illustrate that audio timeline with, for instance, the pictures that were used in the manual, and maybe you add some additional ones, or you replace the imagery for video fragments. And then we talk animated video. So that's more or less how it all works and comes together. So that XML file, data file that you see in the back creates different fragments first and then the video title. And that's also what I like to show you here. So pieces of the XML, and of course I know that you cannot read it on this small screen, but for instance, the title of this topic, the picture that you see here, the product picture.
Charge the battery.
A little
video
piece,
camera.
A little piece of text that is brought to speech. All these little elements are actually brought together to fragments. And as soon as we have the fragments, we can actually map them on a video template, which is of course based on the branding of the customer. And in this case, we made an Astoria template with a blue background, logo, outro, fonts, that kind of stuff. So then the content is actually given its style and behavior, so to speak. And if you then continue and show how that relates, is that on the left you see the Astoria CCMS. We are more or less like an engine to create the videos. And at the end, we deliver video files and subtitle files and also JSON files for some interactivity if needed. And that at the end will give you that animated video. If you now also add the ability to add in some fragments, which can be human voiceover fragments, but also live action video fragments, then you can actually also create, based on the video fragments, the live action videos. And Michael was already addressing the reuse, and we were, of course, also addressing the reuse of the different languages that are stored in the CCMS, but we are also reusing the components, like the CCMS is reusing the components, for instance, a piece of text. We are reusing the video fragments, for instance. If you multiple topics that actually all start with how to switch on the device, that is typically a fragment that can be leveraged in multiple different video titles, of course. So that's more or less how the system actually is working. And well, let me show you some samples, and they are very simple samples. But here you have that XML file, and that XML file again has text, has images, and every step in that procedure of what you just saw in Astoria software now becomes a little fragment of video, animated, and then step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. Well, let me show you this video. I click it. I open a little browser for you. And let me play a little piece of it. Give you some audio to it as well.
Charge the battery. Video camera. In some countries or regions, the charger may be supplied with the adapter connected. Insert the battery and plug the charger in.
Well, I think you all recognize the whole idea that normally you would read this in a topic and now you actually see it on a timeline. Let me go back to my presentation. Because the other way you can go is not only reusing all the assets that you have, but I already explained it, you can also replace that image for a little piece of video. You have to record it, of course, but that actually looks like this. It's the same idea. So you have these different steps from your data topic, but now not a still picture, but a little piece of video. And I will play this in a minute as well. So you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and also step 4. And based on the same structure and the same content, you now get a video that looks like this.
Charge the battery. Video camera. In some countries or regions, the charger may be supplied with the adapter connected. Insert the battery and plug the charger in. An exhausted battery will fully charge in about 2 hours and 10 minutes. The charge lamp will flash while the battery charges,
etc., etc. So this is just to explain you that with the same structure and content, you can go multiple ways. Obviously, reusing the images will, you don't have to invest anything, of course, in additional media assets. If you go, of course, and start using video fragments, your video creation team or your video facility, of course, needs to create video fragments. They don't have to edit video titles anymore. They just have to deliver, and that's a different approach, of course, clean video fragments. And with clean, I mean no language, because that's brought in to these videos via the CCMS, obviously, both the audio as well as the text that you see on screen. Let me continue, because talking about reuse, that CCMS is typically, of course, used for very efficient localization of content. And at Astoria, of course, being part of TransPerfect, that's a big driver. So now in that CCMS, you not only have the international English of this topic, but for instance, also the Spanish and the German. And then we repurpose the structure, we repurpose the media assets. And let me show you how that looks like, for instance, in Spanish. And it's still compliant, of course. Let me enlarge the screen, play it.
Cargue la batería. Cámara de video. En algunos países o regiones, el cargador puede ser
I think you get the idea, right? So this is again repurposing all the investments already made by your company, but now leveraging it for video. And if of course, it's the same story, but if I click this one, you get that same idea, but now it's German language. So just play it for a bit.
Laden Sie die Batterie auf. Videokamera.
And the cool thing here is as soon as somebody is now going to that editor connected to Astoria, and you edit the topic and you republish it to TXTOmedia, this video will be updated automatically as well. So it's not only the PDF that's now in sync and your e-publications or your next run of the paper manual printing tasks. No, the video is always in sync, if you like. So that's also a big thing, of course. It's not, like I said, about creation. It's also about the maintenance. Last but not least, it's not only about video creation. What I showed you is really an MP4 video. We talk about video experiences. So you can imagine that you also get the idea that you can have and now it becomes maybe a little bit technical, an HTML5 player, and we call that step slides or step videos, that you actually swipe through the different steps. And then actually these are single videos. That's of course another format, but also a video idea. But on top of it, videos, of course, also come with, for instance, caption files or subtitle tracks. Well, these are also generated based on the first fragments and then video titles. So the subtitles are there automatically. Plus, if you have the chapters in your CCMS, you can also generate what we call JSON file, and that's a technical file that talks to the video players. Not all video players are equipped with this ability, but YouTube these days is even equipped with it. And a lot of, the Brightcoves and the Hiahos and all these players can actually read the JSON files. And then actually you can add some extra functionality to the player, because then you get, and let me open the video again. Let me play it.
Charge the battery. Video camera.
You get this.
The charge lamp will flash while the battery charges. When charging,
you can navigate through the videos, and especially in training videos, which tend to be a little bit longer, you can actually put this navigation on top so people can immediately find what they want. And this is a functionality of interactivity, but you can also imagine that if your CCMS not only contains the instruction on how to replace something, but maybe even the part number, that if that part number is a link, then we can actually make it clickable in the video. So then the video, the instruction video, also becomes a point of sale for you. So that's actually the functionality of JSON files, and the great thing about leveraging technical documentation for video creation. Well, that said, this is our test kitchen of Astoria and TXTOmedia together. And if you have any questions, please raise your voice now. And thank you for your attention.